What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Spread the Positive podcast. I'm your host, Trent Denson. This is one of those I say it's a long time coming, way overdue. But this is someone I really respect, someone that has taught me a lot in his young young years, man. Wise beyond his years for sure. Incredible human being. Very, very gifted in a lot of ways, man. This is my guy, Austen Scheumann, man. How are you, dude?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man.
Like you said, long time coming, long time coming.
That's right, man. We've been talking about this for a while. We got your own show on deck.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into that here in a little bit, but typically how I like to do it is take us back to young Shyman, young Austin in the streets of Indiana, living your life, man. What were you into? Some of your early passions?
Yeah, in the streets of Indiana, man. So the town that I'm from is called Hoagland.
Okay.
It's a town probably less than 1,000 people, the traditional small town life.
Yep.
Everybody knows everybody, but then at the same time, everybody helps each other out. So
That's right.
it's very community oriented. Oh man. Well, I would say for one, I was a shy individual, but luckily I was pretty athletic.
Yep.
So that's what really, allowed me to blossom outside of my shell a little
Nice,
bit
man.
and, gain some friends.
Indiana hooping.
Indiana,
Everybody's hooping, right?
Yep, hooping. Unfortunately, I was not one of those hoopers. I could not make a shot. Defense and athleticism was my forte.
Got you.
But yeah, I played football, ran track, pretty much every sport that you can think of. I played, not necessarily the best at it. But yeah, from a young age, I was always involved in athletics, and that kind of led me into the career of chiropractic.
Right. That was I mean, that happened what, high school? When did you know? I mean, we've talked about this before, but you knew pretty early on, right?
Yeah, senior year of high school, I knew. One of my
That's awesome.
friends from high school, her mom was a
That's right.
chiropractor, and she specialized in scoliosis patients. So
That's right.
I did an out of school internship with her senior year and fell in love. And it's
With
been my path.
chiropractic, not her mom, right?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Sorry.
With chiropractic, fell in love with it,
Nice,
and
man.
I saw the true difference that it could make in people's lives, and I wanted to offer the same kind of service to individuals.
Man, that's amazing. That's so cool. So senior year of high school, man, that's a pretty early age to just know, like, this is it. And just from that internship, this is going to be your life's work. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a gift, dude. I think so many people go way longer than that, before knowing for sure what they're going to pursue. So what was that like? I mean, I'm kind of jealous because
Yeah.
I've always kind of been a little jealous of that.
It was definitely a blessing
Yeah.
to have a path that
Yeah.
you're going to go pursue. But I think along that path, you're a little bit naive. You don't
Sure.
really understand what you're getting into until you actually get into it. And as far as my story goes, initially I thought chiropractic was just for individuals that had, neck, back pain,
Right.
or scoliosis, because she specialized in
yeah.
scoliosis patients. So along this path, I ended up going to undergrad, majored exercise science. And so that path leads you to chiropractic, but I never really was taught what chiropractic
Right.
was until I ended up starting at Palmer.
Okay.
So through my entire life, I probably only got adjusted 10 times or less because I never fell in that category. I wasn't in pain and I didn't have scoliosis.
Right.
So once I started school, they introduce you to a student intern who starts to adjust you weekly. And I started to get adjusted probably 8 to 10 locations. And then I developed chronic fatigue, neck pain, headaches, all this different stuff. And I'm like, well, what's going on here?
From those adjustments?
Well, from those adjustments, and just like anything, you can have great chiropractors and not so good chiropractors.
Right,
You can have great doctors, not so good doctors.
Right.
But and they're just students, so they're learning.
Sure.
But yes, as much good that it can do, it can also do some harm.
Sure.
And that's what actually led me to Nucca,
Okay.
the upper cervical technique that I actually perform.
Big fan of Nucca.
Big fan. Yep. So, long-winded conversation. Yes, I knew the path that I wanted to take. I knew I wanted to become a chiropractor, but within chiropractic, you're kind of left with an open sheet. It's like, how do you want to take care of your patients? Is it the traditional twist, pop, crack?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it more of a structural misalignment that's going to focus more about allowing your body to function optimally? Can we correct your posture to take away the nerve interference to allow your body and brain to communicate appropriately?
Man,
In
I like that
comparison,
one.
a lot of traditional chiropractors, they're focused on, the symptom. So do you come in because you have neck pain or low back pain, and that's just a superficial layer. And we want to get behind that. So yeah, you have those symptoms, but what's causing those symptoms? Is it some sort of nervous system abnormality? Or is it a toxicity that you're exposed to within your life? There's multiple different avenues. So how are we going to approach this?
Nice. That's awesome. So that was all through college, kind of, right? Or is that early or undergrad, right?
Yeah, through undergrad, and then whenever I started chiropractic school.
And then you went to Palmer.
Went
That's like a world-renowned
Yep,
chiropractic school.
yep.
When
So
did you know you were going? Like, did you pick that out senior year, or what was that like?
so the reason why I chose Palmer is because the chiropractic mentor, Sue Bosler, the individual that I did that out of school internship with
Okay.
my senior year of high school, that's where she went to
Okay.
school.
Nice.
So then sophomore year of undergrad is whenever I did a campus visit to Palmer.
Okay.
So once I did that campus visit, it was like, this is a place that I want to go to.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice. And so you're there, you're doing the thing at Palmer, and then you kind of discover the Nucca approach and all that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
That's amazing, man. So, and how long is chiropractic school? Like
It's 3 1/3 years.
Okay.
Year round.
Okay.
So it's a lot. It goes fast. I'm glad that they do it year round, just
Sure.
allowing you to get
Knock
out in
it
the
out.
real world. And yeah.
So Palmer, knock out the whole thing and take us from there.
Yeah. So towards the end of your chiropractic schooling, you have the opportunity. Do you want to do a preceptorship? And a preceptorship is kind of like a medical residency.
Okay.
And all throughout chiropractic school, I kind of had this idea that I wanted to open up. I just didn't know where. So I did this out of school internship with Dr. Matthew McNally, which is, in my opinion, I'm biased, but he's the best chiropractor in the world.
Wow.
He
Wow.
has a wait list of 3 to 4 months, sees a new patient every single day. But you have families coming from Europe, families coming from Mexico.
Wow.
He has this map on his wall where he puts a pin for where the patients come.
Dang.
So I think the furthest that I've seen is Japan.
Wow, dude. That's
And
crazy.
if you end up looking up his office, he doesn't have a website. It's all word of mouth.
Man.
Pretty incredible. So it was a blessing to have the opportunity to train under him.
When was this?
So this was about 5 months prior to graduation.
Okay.
So I ended up graduating Palmer October of 2019.
Okay.
So beginning of the summer 2019.
That's so crazy.
So yeah, during that process, you're training to become the best doctor that you can be. And during that process, I looked at different areas as far as states. What state do I really want to live in? And I focused towards North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee.
God's country, baby.
Yep, God's country right here. God led me here.
Man.
So yeah, I planned a trip to come to Nashville, Tennessee, because that was the big talk. Everybody was talking about that. It was only 6 hours away from home. And lo and behold, the only plans that I had was to visit a chiropractor in Franklin,
Okay.
Dr. Sean Hall, and then a chiropractor right here in Murfreesboro, Dr. Mortar. So the first day I ended up going to Franklin, visited that chiropractor, and then the second day I ended up coming down here. Got in town fairly early, probably about 4:30, something like that. And I end up Googling, is there a brewery in town? What's there to do in Murfreesboro?
Sure.
And led me to Mayday Brewery, and they were hosting a blood drive out of all things. And
yeah, right.
Went to the back of the line.
It's so crazy when you think about it.
Met Leslie.
Shouts to Leslie.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
She ordered me up a flight, and she could tell. She's like, I know you're not from here. What are you doing here? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to find a place to open my chiropractic office.
Man.
She gets all excited, hooks my arm, and then drags me to this fine young gentleman over here.
Me?
Trent.
Look,
yeah.
me?
Yeah, so I don't know, y'all might not know, but he actually did commercial
I sure
real
did.
estate,
You
so
were one of the few people I successfully helped,
yep,
so
yep.
thank God for that,
Hey,
man.
he did a great job. Yeah, that day met Trent,
Hang on one second, one second.
exchanged content.
Hang on one second. Let's take it back for 1 second. So that blood drive, Leslie, man, this is so funny, and just Leslie to a T. Shouts to Leslie Yost. She did a blood drive at a brewery, and she had a vampire.
Yeah,
Um, Taylor Gentry. Shouts to Taylor. His alter ego is Count Drahoon, a cousin of Dracula or something, and he's out in L.A. doing his thing, acting, and that was just an amazing day, honestly. It was I mean, just having a blood drive and having like a friendly vampire there is just hilarious, first and foremost. And then, yeah, I remember Leslie bringing you up and us, talking it up, and you were kind of giving me the rundown on everything you're looking for. And at the time, I was, super focused on all things commercial real estate, and man, I was like, dude, I can help you. Like, this is what I'm doing. So that was such an awesome day, man. I remember that vividly. I know you do too. We talk about it
yeah,
quite a bit,
yeah.
man.
I'll never forget that. Exchanged
Yeah,
information, and then went back home. Probably planned a trip. A month later,
yeah, right. I lined
came.
up a few
Yeah,
places.
lined up a few places.
First place we saw.
First place we saw, which wasn't even on the list initially,
Yeah, right.
became the office. You know,
Dang, that's
put
so
in an
crazy.
offer.
Lots of back and forth.
Lots of back and forth, but we
But
made it work. So,
man,
man, what I have to say about that
yeah,
is, you know, I am Christian,
yep,
and I wouldn't be where I'm at without God, and He definitely led me to this place. Um, and the signs of allowing it to work.
yeah,
What are the chances that I meet Trent
right,
just randomly at a local brewery? And then after that, what are the chances that you're actually going to find the office and that office is going to, actually work out
yeah.
and
That was a lot.
fall through? So, for any individual that doesn't know if they're on the right path, just ask for guidance
So true.
and look for the messages because um, once you figure out what you want and you pursue that, God will help you
Yeah,
acquire that.
man,
Um,
so true. That was a really awesome time, man. Like, and it was crazy. I mean, we just went over the timeline. That's end of
in
2019.
2019, yep.
Right. I mean, grand opening was what? Or ribbon cutting was August
August 28th, yes,
of 2019?
of 2020.
That's right.
So
Okay.
I just had my 3 year.
Dang. That is wild.
Pretty incredible how
Yeah, we were
fast
all
3 years
masked up.
go.
That's right, dude. We were masked up or some of us were at I remember that. Man, that's wild. So my guy survived a global pandemic, and dove straight in, man. I got to give this guy his flowers, man, because first and foremost, every single thing he said about his faith and his walk and just his determination, perseverance, all of that stuff, man, is something that should be really celebrated. I know you're super modest and won't toot your horn, but what you've accomplished is truly remarkable, man. Like it's been amazing to watch you do your thing. You've grown. You've literally persevered, done all the things to keep your doors open, um, and just the way, I mean, the success stories you have, the way you've helped people, the way you've helped people in my personal life, I mean, drop of a hat at times, like on a Saturday, you came to our rescue, man. Like, I mean, you truly are doing God's work, man. And again, like just the fact that you had this self-awareness at such a young age, and then you've been able to just stick the course with this path. Because I mean, I remember having conversations going through the lease negotiations and some of this stuff, like, yo, man, like, you sure you don't want to maybe just like doing a print or like go work, I mean, save up some money, not have all this overhead straight out the gate, and you're just, I mean, you shut that down so quick. You're like, God's got me, this is my path, this is my journey, this is what I'm doing. And you did it, dude. Like, I mean, salute to you in every sense of the word. Like, it's been super inspiring because like that doesn't happen, honestly. Like, you're young, I mean, when I was your age, I was not even remotely close to as locked in as you are, and it's just again, it's something to celebrate, dude. Like it's been really cool to see.
Yeah. Hey, man. Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being along my side every step of the way.
Yeah,
But what I will say for any individual that, is trying to pursue a dream, whether or not that is to start your own business or, um, just trying to find a career path or something. Um, don't be afraid to be a little bit naive and not knowing what it takes.
sure.
Before you start anything, you're going to be an amateur. You're not going to be the best. Just take it day by day, put one foot in front of the other. And, that's what I did whenever I started. And if I knew everything that I would go through prior to starting, I wouldn't have started. So the biggest thing is action, just go.
Right.
And as long as you have a passion and you believe in what you're going to do, you will be successful. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. I
No,
know that firsthand. And it's probably going to take twice as long, three times, five times as long as what you would hope.
sure.
But, if you have that passion and desire, at the end of it's going to be success. And at the end of it is not only will you be able to help people, locally, for me specifically
Mhm.
within my chiropractic path. But one reason why I want to get into podcasting is for me to help individuals that don't even come into my office that might just need motivation to
Sure.
say, hey, I have this business idea. What do I need to do? Or if somebody's just having a bad day, overall, and they just need to be uplifted, I want to be that individual that can help give somebody that nudge of positivity.
Hey,
And that's why I appreciate you so much for this entire podcasting organization of Spread the
yeah,
Positive,
man.
because this is what we need more in our world, just to spread positivity and hope, you
Yep.
know hope that the future is going to be better than what it is right now.
Man, amen to that, dude. We've had a lot of conversations, off mic over the years in the woods, playing golf, all the things we've done, man, and just your perspectives on things and your ability how do you say this? Like just your ability to like address like the root cause of like what's actually wrong, if that makes sense. Like I think
Yeah.
that's a gift that you have that's truly special because a lot of people can be motivational. A lot of people can do the rah rahs. A lot of people can do a lot of things, but your ability to like really connect with the root cause of problems, like that's in your work, obviously. I mean, that's like the whole definition of what you do day in, day out. But just like on a conversational basis, dude, like that is I've talked to a lot of people over the years, like I've done a lot of these podcasts and just people just have people just spill their guts to me and and it's always been something that I've like really tried to be aware of when I'm in those positions. So like when I come across someone that's like really good at it, I take note of it and you're insanely good at it. Like you're insanely good at listening and you're good at like, well, what you think is a problem is probably not where it really starts.
Yeah.
So like that's something again, just again to celebrate. Like that's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for that as like your friend and like you've helped me a lot with that. Like
Yeah.
I remember our first, trip through Barfield together, dude. Like we got deep on that conversation. And
Yeah. Great
yeah.
conversation. One thing that I try to focus in on, and I learned this from a mentor
Okay.
early in chiropractic school, but sometimes the lessons that you need to learn right now are heard through individuals talking to you in everyday life.
Man.
So, in certain instances where you're not even expecting it, it could be a best friend, like Trent,
Yep.
we could just be talking about something. And then he ends up giving me an insight of something that I'm struggling with in my personal life.
Mhm.
Or it could be a waitress, or it could be a patient for me ends
Yeah,
up,
dude.
and that's what happens a lot is, a patient will get into this conversation and they'll bring something up and it's like, wow, that's exactly what I needed to hear to help me within my own personal life because I don't have it all together. Nobody has it all together. Um, but once this mentor told me about the aspect of active listening, that's whenever I really focused in on, okay, so going into this conversation, it's like, what do I want from it? Is it for me to learn something? Is it for me to teach something? Or is it all of the above?
Yeah.
So, just the awareness within the conversation
Yeah, you're good
makes
at
all
that.
the difference.
You're
Yeah.
good at that, man. You're really good at that. So surviving a pandemic. I mean, all the stuff that you've done leading up to this 3-year anniversary. Um, what's on deck, man? What are you excited about nowadays?
Yeah, so a lot.
Yeah.
Number one's content.
Yeah.
So I need to get the word out. I need to talk about Horizon Spinal Care,
Yeah, dude. I mean,
Nucca,
let's
upper
plug let's
cervical.
let's plug away. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
We
all
we
of that.
got Dr. Scheumann here, Horizon Spinal Care.
Horizon Spinal Care.
Talk your business, man. Talk it up. So 3-year anniversary of Horizon Spinal Care.
3-year anniversary, Horizon Spinal Care. Man, I
It's
mean,
amazing, dude.
it's been such a ride. So 3-year was August 28th, and what I did on the 28th was I just went through my patient list, and I just was thinking about different patient stories, how they improved, what was going on, um, and everything that's been going on through that past 3 years. And it really is a blessing to have the opportunity to impact people's lives,
Man.
and just the aspect of health is to give people higher quality of health longer.
Mhm.
So you'll have a conversation with somebody and it'll be, you know, especially the older population, how long do you want to live? Or they'll inadvertently bring it up and they'll say, I don't really want to live that much longer. Or, oh, I hope that I don't live until 90 or 100, something like that.
Man.
But really, what it comes down to is quality of life. If you had health as far as like pain, if your pain was minimal, if you had good relationships, all this different stuff, would you still want to live? Most likely, yes. So, what it comes down to is addressing the fundamental, root cause of why individuals are coming in and how can you actually address that. Um, so, the end goal is to allow individuals to live happier, longer, healthier lives.
Yep.
Um, and the technique that I perform, it's called Nucca. It's upper cervical specific, which whenever you hear that word upper cervical, a lot of individuals think, oh, well, you only address the neck. My issue isn't the neck, it's also the low back. So whenever you hear upper cervical, just think about corrective care. Our goal is to correct your posture to allow your body to function optimally.
Right.
So the way that we end up doing that is we end up looking at your head tilt. So is it off to the left or to the right? Your shoulders. How are your shoulders positioned? Is one leg shorter in comparison to the next? Do you have a high hip? All these different things. And through the adjustment, we will correct your posture. And that is the actual fundamental corrective care behind it.
Wow.
Um, there's a lot of research actually coming out about the importance of posture. So, specifically, anterior head carriage, which just means that the individual's head is offset farther forward in comparison
Yeah.
to the normal individual. And
Is that tech neck?
it's text neck. Yes, exactly. So, the research coming out is the individuals that actually have a forward head carriage have a higher likelihood of every cause illness out there.
Mm.
So you have a higher rate of cardiovascular issues, you have a higher rate of digestion issues, you have a higher rate of just respiratory issues. The reason being is as the neck goes forwards, it restricts the amount of air going into your lungs. Now, once that occurs, it impacts your pH.
Mm.
And your pH is the acidity and alkalinity within your blood.
Mm.
So we all know that well, I guess we don't all know, but cancer thrives in acidic environments. It cannot thrive in an alkalinic environment.
Right.
And in today's traditional diet, American diet, everything is very acidic. So the farther that your head sat off forward, the more acidic the body, and the higher likelihood of disease.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's a major issue.
Yep.
I mean, we've, my stuff with like sleep apnea stuff, and I mean, I think that's like the number one thing. Like, I'm always like, I'm trying to
Bring the
straighten
head
up right
back.
now.
Yep. Bring
Yeah,
the shoulders back.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, and watching you do, like, when I got to go through the process of, um, like getting the x-rays done and just how precise you are with that type of stuff, man, it makes so much sense. Like, and the fact that, I mean, let's get into, I mean, that's what, like, the Atlas stuff and like how that controls everything, like you're talking about. And to your point, when people are like, no, my lower back hurts. Well, if you're in alignment and your Atlas is right, like that will alleviate those problems too, right?
Yeah. So this is actually how it works. It's pretty incredible. But the first bone in your neck's the atlas. We use it as a lever system to impact the position of the head as well as the remainder of the neck. But the fundamental root cause, why are you feeling this? The issue is because there's tension on a nerve, potentially your spinal cord. So whenever there's tension on the spinal cord, it sends a signal to the area of your brain called your cerebellum. Now, your cerebellum controls your posture and your equilibrium. So, once you receive a trauma, that's going to shift your posture. The reason being is because it puts tension on the cord, and the body has to alleviate that tension on the cord as much as possible. So, whenever I adjust the atlas, that first bone in your neck, it takes away that tension on the spinal cord, which will resend the signal to your cerebellum, and your cerebellum actually corrects your posture.
Right.
So even if you have pain in the low back, we can still address that issue because the cerebellum, the portion of your brain, is actually what makes the correction, not necessarily me contacting the atlas. I alleviate the tension on the cord, and then your body is what heals itself and makes that correction.
Wow.
You just have to take away that interference.
Man. That's, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and I've seen it firsthand how you've helped, several people in my life that I'm that'll love dearly. Like, it's amazing how easy it is to have that not lined up, and then like just having a simple, very, I mean, it's such a simple adjustment, or I shouldn't say simple, it's such a minimal, like, actual physical change, so to speak, like what we feel, but
Yeah.
like the way you can do that and the way it straightens things out and the way you feel afterwards, it's just mind blowing.
Yeah. So one statistic that I always love to bring up, so out of all the nerves in your body, what percentage do you think's connected to a pain receptor, which
Man,
is nociception?
80.
80. So that's a very common answer, but out of all the nerves in your body, only 10% are connected to a pain
Wow.
receptor. The other
Wow.
90% deal with function.
Man.
So that this goes back to that aspect of trying to find that root cause. What is causing my pain? What is causing my headaches? What is causing that vertigo? It's fundamentally a nerve. That is the root cause behind it. So a lot of individuals, so this is another cool thing. And whenever you end up coming in for chiropractic care, my goal is to allow you to function optimally. So, not necessarily take away that neck pain or that low back pain. Yes, that's good. But on top of that, we want to make sure that your heart can function appropriately. We want to make sure digestion is functionally optimally.
Hey.
But I had a patient, she ended up coming in, and this is after probably about 2 months of care. And she's like, I have a great thing to tell you. And it's that I just went off my depression medication.
Let's go.
And I'm not telling anybody to do that without, appropriate medical
Right. Got to
supervision.
clarify legal.
But but she's like, is it a common thing that, people become happier and their depression ends up going away? And I said, that is a common thing because just think about pain. If you're constantly in pain, your mentality, so you can't be fully there within a conversation with a loved one, whether or not that's your kids or your wife.
Mhm.
Um, you can't function appropriately whenever you're in work because you're always in pain. So if you take that pain away, you can start to improve different areas of your life. And for her specifically, that was, her mental health, which is amazing. Another individual, he ended up coming in and he had a heart attack 4 years ago.
Man.
And, that's in the review of history and everything like that. But after 2 weeks of care, he ends up coming in and he's like, "Is there any way that this could help with my AFib, atrial fibrillation?" And I said, "There's a possibility because your heart's connected to the nerves. Is there something going on within your neck or your back that's causing that AFib in the heart?" So his AFib totally ended up going away after 2 weeks of
Dang.
chiropractic care.
Wow.
So I would never promote that and say, "Hey, I'm gonna fix your AFib," or "Hey, I'm gonna fix your depression," but I can help the body function optimally, and then your body can actually heal those different instances
Man.
of life. And that's what it's about. It's not about that pain. It's about function and, you know, increasing the quality of years that somebody has within their life.
That's beautiful, man. Definitely a great example of what's going right, man. That's what we talk about here at Spread the Positive. So, speaking of, we've kind of touched on this a couple of things you brought up, but you're really good. And we were even talking about today. We did another Barfield session today, but we both kind of been a little. I'll just go ahead and spill the beans a little. Maybe not in the best. I don't want to call it best headspace, but just life gets tough, right? Like that's one of the things we always talk about on the podcast, just ways to kind of navigate those maybe some negative self-talk or some just not being as positive as one would like to be. So what are some of your like go-to ways to kind of switch up a bad headspace or a positive, or basically the tools in the toolbox to maintain a more positive mindset?
Yeah, well, exactly what we ended up doing today
Nature,
is
man.
nature. Get out in nature, go for a hike, good company, and that's really what it is, find somebody that you feel comfortable just unloading,
Yeah, man. Just
your
getting it
your
off
your
your
mental
chest. Yeah.
trash. Yeah. You can only do so much alone. And certain things that I like to do by myself, I meditate, I pray, but then I also create my own playlists.
Okay.
So I'm very
Music.
intentional with, what I listen to when I listen to it. And in the mornings, I'll put on multiple motivational videos. I kind of look at it kind of like hygiene. You shower every day, you brush your teeth every
That's
day,
good.
and every day, I'm not the most mentally strong, but yet, hey, if I listen to good music or hey, if I listen to this motivational video, it will give me a little bit of a boost. So that's one thing that I do, by
That's good. Like
by
mental health hygiene.
mental health hygiene. Hey,
that's a,
man,
that's
I
that's
need it.
real.
Yeah, I need it, and
Everybody needs that.
everybody needs it. And
Yep.
just be around positive people.
Mhm.
Get a crew that you feel comfortable with, that will uplift you. And I think the hardest thing is, especially as a male, you try to be strong for so many different individuals because everybody's life is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for you to take a step back and say, "Hey, maybe I need to be a little bit vulnerable and maybe I need to open up with
Sure.
a individual with something that I'm going through within my own life."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's what both of us did this
Yeah, we
morning,
did,
and
man. We did.
it was a nice little session.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be the first to say I've just I was doing this group call that I've been part of for the past few weeks, and up until this session, I've been like really into it and like really able to connect and like focus, and like there's some like meditation things, and just dude, I was just not there today, and I it's just like my head's been swirling, and like just a lot, just I mean, trying to get the studio back up to where I like it. By the way, shouts to TTM, Tom Golly here at To the Moon Creative for holding it down while we're building out a couple of other options to work on and be able to utilize this incredible space too. Tom's taught me so much, so shouts to Tom. Guy is insanely talented, and this space is incredible. Definitely goals, but anyway, man, it's been a lot just trying to juggle all this stuff, and there's been new opportunities and new levels, new devils, just with what comes with the next step with all this stuff with Spread the Positive, man. I was just I was trying so hard to like really let go of some of this stress and some of the stuff that's like been swirling in my head, and dude, I would just couldn't. I was, and I kind of got called out on the call or whatever, and I just told him, I'm like, man, I can't get right today. Like something's up, and I'm just like not as present as I'd like to be. And um, I was just mad, dude. Like I have this stuff where I just like if I can't like fix it quick, and even like me, like fix me and my headspace, like it's not good. And like dang near the only thing that like helps is getting to the woods. It's like my go-to thing. Either shooting basketball, hitting golf balls, or getting in the woods are like my three like escapes nowadays, especially with, the sober living thing. So
Yeah.
man, but it did. And like as we're walking out, I'm like, God, I feel so much better. And I'm talking to you about all this crazy stuff I've been doing and inner healing things. And
Yeah.
you're like, man, that's wild, but I'm here for it. And
Yeah.
again, it was just like the spilling of the guts is
Yeah.
so crucial.
Hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's kind of remarkable. You were talking about a meditation that you were struggling with, and there was this tree, and you were supposed to go
Dude,
up a tree.
yes,
And we're on our walk, and we found a tree that he envisioned.
man, it was definitely
um,
a version of it.
but
That was trippy. How many times have we walked by? I mean, I've walked by that tree
I've been
hundreds.
yeah
Has to be hundreds of
I've been
times.
through that park hundreds, if not thousands of times. Never noticed that tree before.
And there's like a
Um,
little path to it and everything.
yeah,
I mean, it was weird.
but that right there is a God wink moment.
Exactly.
It's just you're going through a struggle. You're trying to do something, and you see this tree, which it just seems
It
so
was weird, dude.
mundane. But once you're going through a process and you see that tree, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Appreciate you guys.
Yep,
Good looking out.
yep, yep.
Man, one thing that we kind of like got cut off with like ending our walk. We were talking about letting go, man. I wanna revisit this because it was I think, man, it's been the most powerful thing is the ability to truly let go. And I'm gonna quote you real quick or a paraphrase, I guess. Like you said, I think I'm letting go. I try to let go, but I don't think I fully let go. And I do the same. I think everybody does a version of this, but man, like I've even felt it as simply as like playing golf too. Like I'm like, I can't make anything. I'm missing I'm three putting everything. And then I'll just be like just let go. And sank like a 20-foot putt. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just like this pent up control thing. What do you think that is, man? Just total left curve, but I wanted to get back to that.
Oh man, I mean, so this might get like pretty deep.
Let's get
I
it.
think it can be a lot of things. For me, the what makes it so hard to let go is you have these expectations and you set your own goals and timelines for these goals, and sometimes you don't end up hitting them. Um, or something happens in your life that you have absolutely no control over. Maybe it's a sickness, maybe, it's relationship stuff. And as these things build up, build up, build up, you don't deal with them. You don't know how to emotionally release them.
Mm,
So I think that's a lot of it is not knowing how to release the energy that you pick up from other individuals and certain instances that you put on yourself that you don't necessarily need to put on yourself.
yeah, that's it. And I think yes, you're right. Like it's those self-inflicting pressures and the self-inflicting um the comparison game that we were kind of talking about
The
earlier.
comparison game is huge.
Yeah.
And, you're on your own path, your own timeline. The only individual that you have to make happy is yourself.
Man.
And I think that is the hardest thing. And this is another reason why I want to, do the Optimal
Let's
You
go. Plug
podcast
away, bro.
coming.
It's coming soon.
But
So needed, man.
it
So
is
needed.
it is needed, and it's the fight between the person you are and the person that you want to become.
Man.
And looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, "Hey, I'm here, but I'm not where I want to be. I'm here. I am proud of accomplishing this and having the ability to be here."
Yeah.
Um, Giving yourself that grace, but then also knowing I have so much more that I want to do and offer and provide for individuals.
That's it, dude.
So yeah, facing that man in the mirror, and I think that is a tough thing. It used to be float alchemy, and now I think it's wellness. I forget what
Yeah.
it's called.
Shouts to Float Alchemy.
Yeah, float alchemy. But
Amy and the team. It's a special place.
yeah, they have float tanks, and that was the first time I ever did a float. And going into it, if y'all's never heard of a float tank, it's sensory deprivation.
Yeah.
So you end up going into this pod, no music, no light. You're floating in this water that is really high density of salt, so
Yep.
you actually float, and it forces you to relax.
Yeah.
So the first time that I ended up laying in there, I could feel my body tense because I'm not an individual that can go to a pond or a lake and just be able to float on my back. I sink.
Really?
Yeah, so I've never knew
Letting
how.
goes really
Yeah.
hard, huh?
Yeah, I've never known how to
This
float.
is deeper than we thought.
Yeah, so you go to this tank and I'm wiggling around and I'm
Dude.
like, "Okay, I just need to let go. You just need to let
There
go."
you go.
And I finally let go, and I'm like, "Wow, I didn't know how much tension was in my body."
Damn. That's
So,
real.
that might be a plug for anybody listening. How do you let go? Hey,
Get in a
maybe
float tank.
yeah,
Dang,
maybe
man.
go
I
into a
probably
float
need to do
tank.
that again. I
Um,
loved it. I've only
yeah,
done it like twice, but I loved it both
yeah,
times.
yeah, I've done it. I've done it a few times.
But isn't that a metaphor for like everything we were
For
talking about and like everything like that's like, man, like we really complicate this thing, don't we?
Yep,
It's wild. Like we really complicate this thing called life. Like there's a lot of pressures from society. There's a lot of pressures we put on ourselves, but like when it really comes down to it, like we're just supposed to be, like just let
yeah,
I mean, like it's pretty wild.
yeah. I mean, and that's a huge point. It's trying to find that balance
Mhm.
of the rat race. They
Yeah.
always talk about that rat race. You always want more, more, more. You want more within your relationship. You want more, financial, success. You want more business success. But what is enough? How
Right.
do you get enough? Um, and that's a personal journey that everybody ends up going through.
Yep, that's the whole thing. Self-discovery and enlightenment and like true like yeah, I mean that's why we're here. And again, I think or the more I really understand that it seems like it's truly just letting go and trusting God, putting your faith like truly living out your faith and I was listening to a podcast. It was with Ed Marlette. I forgot this lady's name, but it was so good. She basically said, like, if you're a Christian and you truly believe in God, like, and when you experience fear, worry, and doubt, like, you're basically just slapping God in the face. Like, or that's a paraphrase as well, but like, and that's so hard to do, obviously.
Yeah,
But man, like the way she said it way more elegantly than that. But it was just like, every time we're doing that, it's a complete contradiction of what God says about us, what God wants for us, and what God's plan is for us, right? So
yeah,
it's like um when you really like just step back and you're like, yo, I'm doing the complete opposite of what God wants for me and already knows about me, right?
yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
That is crazy, but that right there is a nice little moment for you to step back and be like, "Wow, okay, so what is it all about? Where am I, losing my footing?" That's awesome that you ended up realizing it. So that reminds me
Hit that
of
button. It'll mute you. Sorry.
of
See a check button. Just kidding.
but yeah, I was listening to a podcast and this individual was talking about, you pray for certain things.
Yep.
So if you pray for courage, what is God going to give you?
Opportunities to
God's
be courageous.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's going to give you opportunities to be courageous. Or if you ask for faith, he's going to get you hardship in order for your faith to be uplifting. So a lot of times whenever you're praying to God for certain things, he actually answers it through giving you different hardships or different lessons that you have to learn.
Sure.
And I think that's been tough for me.
Tough for anybody, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
sure.
I think that's also the aspect of, letting go and saying, okay, so I understand why this is happening because this is supposed to help me with my faith, or this is supposed to help me, with my confidence
Sure.
and just different avenues.
So true, man. That's so true. I don't want to spill all the bean or all the stuff, man. We kind of gotta keep it around an hour for file sizes and some other stuff, man. But guys, this is Austin, Dr. Scheumann for all those folks. This is the first of many, man. I've said it for a while, but we need to do this consistently.
Yeah.
It's so therapeutic and so good. And
Yep.
I know people will take some stuff from these conversations. And go ahead and plug away one more time where people can find you. Go ahead and say it right to the camera. We can make a little commercial for you or something.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Austin Scheumann with Horizon Spinal Care. I get people well through chiropractic care. So yeah, the office name, Horizon Spinal Care. You can Google me.
Yep.
I am right there. So Instagram, Facebook, same name, Horizon Spinal Care.
Nice.
I'll be happy to help.
Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Yes, sir.
Got a phone number?
Best phone number to reach me at 615-203-5111.
Beautiful.
Free consultation.
There you go. Right here off of South Church. Great location, if I do say so myself. I mean, that commercial agent must have really done a
Hey,
job.
man, he did.
Yeah, man.
He did wonders. I just have one thing to leave with the crowd, if I can actually find this. So, just to kind of wrap it all up, and within chiropractic is so much more than just being in pain.
Sure.
But this right here, the developer of chiropractic, his name was B.J. Palmer. And he has this saying, and it's called the big idea, and I just want to read it to you.
Let's go.
So, a slip on a snowy sidewalk in winter is a small thing. It happens to millions. A fall from a ladder in the summer is a small thing. That also happens to millions. The slip or fall produces a subluxation. The subluxation is a small thing. The subluxation produces pressure on a nerve. That pressure is a small thing. The pressure cuts off flow of mental impulse. That decreased flow is a small thing. That decreased flow produces a diseased body and brain. That is a big thing to that man. Multiply that sick man by 1,000, and you control the physical and mental welfare of a city. Multiply that man by 1,000,000, and you shape the physical and mental destiny of a state. Multiply that man by 130 million, and you forecast and can prophesy the physical and mental state of a nation.
Dang.
Now comes a man. Any one man is a small thing. That man gives an adjustment. The adjustment is a small thing. The adjustment replaces the subluxation. That is a small thing. The adjusted subluxation releases pressure upon a nerve. That is a small thing. The released pressure restores health to a man. That is a big thing to that man. Multiply that well man by 1,000, and you step up the physical and mental welfare of a city. Multiply that well man by 1,000,000, and you increase the efficiency of a state. Multiply that well man by 130 million, and you can produce a healthy, wealthy, better race for posterity. So Adjustment of the subluxation to release pressure upon the nerves to restore mental impulse flow to restore health is big enough to rebuild the thoughts and actions of the world.
Dang, dude.
So
Wow.
that right there just represents, you know, how, it could be me as a chiropractor. I'm a small thing, but I can make a huge impact in other people's
That's
lives.
right.
But anybody listening to this, whatever field you decide to go into, that can be you.
Right.
You can impact millions of other individuals just by doing what you're passionate about.
That's facts, man.
And that's what I want to leave you guys with.
Man, that's powerful, y'all. Be ready for the optimal you, man. We've been plotting that for a minute. It's definitely time to push record on that one, man. So, Dr. Scheumann, my friend Austin, dude, I'm super grateful for you. Thank you for all you do. That big idea, man. That's what it's all about, right? Let's spread the positive to a T right there. So, we'll wrap this one up, but y'all stay tuned. Big things on deck for my guy here, and all things optimal you. Spread the positive network. Um, Go ahead and plug it. We're looking for some sponsors, some advertisers to support this man right here, support the network as a whole. So y'all come through. Again, it's when fully executed, this 3C method where we bring together community, content, and connection. There is not a loser. Everybody wins. The impact is large. And these shows where we just come together and have these conversations are really going to kind of have that ripple effect that you're talking about with the big idea. Shout outs to Mr. BJ Palmer there too. So thank you again, brother. Looking forward to more of these, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate you. Take care, everybody.
Peace.